Listen, remember this sound? This was the soundtrack of our afternoons. Before the push notification, before the endless scroll, this was the only alert that
You
mattered.
kids
It
better
was
be
the sound of
home when the
boredom.
street
And in the
lights come on.
1980s, boredom was a feature, not a bug. It was a physical state, an empty stomach of the mind, as one writer put it, that forced us to get creative. When we were bored, we didn't have a screen to occupy every moment of downtime. We had time. So we built forts. We started micro-enterprises selling lemonade. We lived our own
Ice cold
Stranger
lemonade
Things
here.
childhood,
Only
just
25 cents.
without the monsters. We're told we're nostalgic for the tech of that era, but the top comments on videos like this say something deeper. Take me back. I can't stand the weird world we live in today. We don't miss the things. We miss the world those things represented, a world that has vanished overnight. Let's look at 7 pieces of that vanished world. And let's be honest, most of this technology was, by today's standards, terrible, but its flaws were precisely the point. It started here, the rotary phone. This wasn't communication, it was work. You had to commit. Every number was a deliberate, tactile act. And dialing a 9 or a 0, it was a lesson in patience. A misdial wasn't a simple backspace. It was a full-blown failure, forcing you to hang up and start the whole mechanical process over again.
For most of us, this was mission control, the one single phone for the entire family.
Usually, in the worst possible place, the kitchen or the main hallway. This phone had one defining feature: zero privacy. The cord was our prison and our only hope for escape. Remember this? The mission, a private conversation. You'd stretch that 15, 20-foot cord until it was screaming, taut as a guitar string, pulled around a doorway, just so you could crouch in a dark closet and whisper to your crush. And you still weren't safe, because at any second, click.
Julie, are
the
you
fatal
still on the
sound.
phone?
Your mom, just checking, or your sister, sighing.
Julie, get off the damn phone. I need to use it.
You'd be wedged between your head and shoulder, arguing over whose turn it was. And in some places, you weren't just fighting your family. You were on a party line, sharing a single line with your neighbors. Pick up the phone, you might hear your Aunt Monte next door. Total anarchy. This simple tool defines an entire generation, a cassette and a pencil. We all know what we were doing, but do you remember why? Sure, sometimes we were performing delicate surgery after the tape deck ate our favorite album, a moment of pure, gut-wrenching horror. But most of the time, we were saving batteries, because batteries, as we'll see, were our most precious, non-rechargeable resource. As one 80s kid put it, batteries may cost money, but your time does not cost anything. So we sat, manually spinning, just to save 10 minutes of play on our Walkman. But the cassette wasn't about saving, it was about creating. The mixtape was our first, painstaking attempt at a personal algorithm. It wasn't a playlist, it was a declaration. This was art. You had rules. The high-fidelity rule. You can't have 2 tracks by the same artist side by side. You curated it to send the right message, to impress someone with your deep knowledge of jazz or A Tribe Called Quest. You'd make a collage cover, photocopied at your summer job. Today, you can share a 5,000-song playlist in 1 second. It means nothing. In the 80s, you spent hours recording in real time, making a 12-song, 90-minute mixtape for someone. It meant everything. The inconvenience was the message. And this was the revolution. The Sony Walkman. This was the first device that severed the cord. It was a status symbol, a mind-blowing experience. For the first time in history, you could put on those, let's be honest, kind of scratchy, foam headphones, press play, and give your entire life a personal soundtrack. The boombox was for the public. It was a campfire. The Walkman was the opposite. It was the birth of the personal bubble. But this freedom came at a constant, terrible price. The Walkman ate AA batteries. It devoured them. We all knew that sound, the music slowing down, the singer's voice dropping into a demonic drawl. This was the original low battery anxiety. And unlike today, you couldn't just plug it in. The batteries died. The music stopped. The real world, with all its ambient noise, came rushing back in. Before on demand was a click, it was a pilgrimage. The Friday night ritual, the whole family piling into the car to wander the aisles of a video store. Remember that smell? Plastic, carpet, and snowcaps. The agony of the last copy of Batman being rented. The thrill of discovering Ghoulies or Terror Train in the horror section. And then there was this, the sticker. Be kind, rewind. This wasn't a suggestion. It was a social contract. And we all knew the special kind of frustration of getting home. popping in The Land Before Time, and being greeted by the end credits. Because the last antisocial person couldn't be bothered. But the tape was only half the battle. The other half was this: the blinking 12 problem. A problem so universal, so legendarily complex, that even Bill Gates's VCR supposedly blinked 12 o'clock. This machine was in our homes for a decade, and we never tamed it. And even if you did get the tape rewound, you had to fight the tracking. It was an act of wizardry. You'd get the static-filled sound and the jumping pictures, and you'd have to sit there, turning that dial, finding the exact micron-perfect sweet spot to get a clear image, before the algorithm decided what you should watch. This was the algorithm, the TV guide. It was a weekly Bible. You'd get it, sit down, and meticulously plan your entire week's viewing.
Honey,
The
what
fall
time is
TV
Cheers on
preview
this
issue?
week?
That was a
Let's
sacred
see.
text.
Looks like
You were
it's on at
planning your
8,
TV
right
future.
after Family
But here's the
Ties.
part that vanished. Conflict. What happened when Miami Vice was on at the same time as Cheers? You had to choose. A real, permanent choice. Because if you missed it, you missed it. There was no watch later. This was appointment viewing. It meant everyone was watching the same thing at the same time. The TV guide wasn't just a schedule. It was a script for the national conversation you'd have at school or work the next day. A shared experience we've traded for a million personalized, isolated streams. You wanted to save something. You needed one of these, the floppy disk. And yes, the original 5.25-inch disk was actually floppy. It was fragile. You had to cover the right protect notch with an adhesive sticker. Then came the 3.5-inch hard disk, which felt like a Star Trek upgrade. But both shared one terrifying phrase: disk read error. But disk was a luxury. For many of us, this was the real waiting game. The Commodore 64. Loading a game from tape could take 20, 30 minutes. You'd hit load, the screen would flash, and you'd literally go fry eggs or make a sandwich and come back. The 1541 disk drive? It was a speeder. It cut that time down to 10 minutes. And then, the sound of productivity. A god-awful noise that became the soundtrack of The Office. This thing was loud. And this was the final boss of 80s tech frustration. Try printing your homework late in the night without waking anyone up. That high-pitched whine could be heard 3 rooms away. It was a sensory assault. And after all that waiting, all that noise, you got this. The pure satisfaction of getting a clean rip on those perforated edges. That was your reward. You had earned your book report, a tangled cord, a pencil, a blinking 12 o'clock, a 30-minute load time. This technology was slow, frustrating, and inconvenient. So, why do we miss it so much? Because it was finite. The phone call ended. The batteries died. The movie had to be rewound. The TV show was over. The game finally loaded. This tech didn't follow us. It didn't track us. It left us alone. It left us with gaps. It left us with boredom. And in that boredom, we had to do something. We had to create. We weren't always reachable. We were, for long, wonderful stretches of time, free. The tech vanished overnight. But what we really miss is the world it left behind. The one that was quiet. The one that was patient. The one that was, for better or worse, simpler. Which one of these frustrations do you miss the most? The 20-foot tangled cord? The blinking 12 o'clock? Or the 30-minute load time? Let me know in the comments, and tell me what I missed. That's all for this story. But the conversation doesn't end here. Here, at Story Vaulted, we believe every story deserves to be told. If you agree, join our mission and become part of our community of history lovers by subscribing right now. We want to hear your insights, so let us know in the comments what you thought and what story you think we should unvault next.